Tell me in the comments if you can relate to any of this. You love parkour games, but you've played a lot of them, and you're still looking for something. You like games with impressive movement, you like to feel agile, run on walls, vault obstacles, swing off bars, but so many of these indie parkour games you learn about don't feature much of a reason to do these things, except for their own sake. Those that do have things like a campaign or a structured series of missions tend to be in the first-person perspective, like Neon White or Ghostrunner, both of which are excellent, but don't really let you enjoy seeing your character do all of these sick moves. Or maybe you just find first-person games unpleasant to play for long sessions. The third-person games where parkour is the focus do exist, but they aren't many, and usually struggle to provide structured goals. You can move around in a gym environment or on some buildings, but there isn't much purpose. They're very sandboxy, and that's amazing if you're a tricker or freestyler, but for most players that only stays fun for so long. Maybe you mess around with them for a few hours and then you've had enough. So the hunger isn't satisfied. It's not quite what you're looking for. You need structure. So you look back at the AAA space. You're a vampire who's trying to remember who you are. You're a ninja trying to redeem your clan after centuries of being hated. These are, for me, compelling narratives, and I could see characters like this being good at movement. But now we have the opposite problem. These games treat parkour purely as a means to an end, often even an afterthought. It doesn't really carry the depth that their combat or stealth would, and it's not something that defines or characterizes who you are in these worlds. The elephant in the room, of course, is that games that used to do this, holding parkour as a meaningful part of your personality, holding it as something core and central and what makes you special, like Assassin's Creed, don't anymore. Your character being good at movement, and that translating to having a lot of control over it, isn't really the defining characteristic of protagonists in these big expensive games anymore. It's something they can do, but it never gets as much care as an important system as it used to. Now, if you're someone who already likes my channel, you probably really valued parkour in those older Assassin's Creed games, and with its fading into increasingly less focus over the years, you continue to try a bunch of other games. And barring titles like Mirror's Edge or Dying Light, which release exceptionally rarely, you haven't managed to find that craving satisfied. Those games are again also first person, and while that's great for some players, there are tons of others online who I read sad comments from all the time saying that first person games just aren't for them, even though great parkour with a compelling reason to do it is what they're looking for. So we need a game with strong, fun, third person parkour, where the protagonist's ability to move impressively is a big part of what makes them cool, where movement is the main focus of the game's depth instead of an afterthought, and where practicing and becoming good at it helps you achieve a meaningful purpose, be that saving someone you care about or overcoming a grand threat. How many games can you think of where all of those conditions are true? Because I would like to play them, and they kind of just don't exist. Well, one is about to, and I've had a chance to watch it take shape behind the scenes for quite a while. I've played several early versions of it, I've given a lot of feedback on what feels good and what doesn't, and I've had new reasons to believe in it and look forward to it as time has passed. This is why I care about this game, and this is why I think it has so much potential. Let me tell you about Yokai Tales Fox, and why I think you should try its technical demo on Steam. Everything in this video and in the demo you can play is a work in progress. What exists already has made a great impression on me, but Silk Road Studios have been working really hard on this game, and when it's finished and released, it's gonna be even better than this. The two most important things to me in any game centering movement are these. Does the basic act of moving around feel satisfying and give me freedom? And does getting better at movement matter? These may seem simple, but they're hard to do. Massive companies still mess it up. And the reason why is because these two aspects are in tension with one another. To motivate me to get better at movement, the basics have to feel good enough that I want to keep playing. It's also important that when I'm starting out, I'm allowed to be bad at it in certain ways, so that learning and improving my skill makes the system feel even better as I keep figuring out new techniques. You have to get the balance right. Not punishing players excessively so you don't push them away and they can immediately feel why it's fun, but also holding them accountable and satisfying them for improving by letting them earn faster clear times, the ability to take routes that they come up with themselves as they run through the world, and so on. Yokai Tales Fox succeeds at both of these things, even in this early playable state. So what if there was a game that let you flow and vault over obstacles by holding a button, but then everything else was manual? A game where hitting your inputs with good timing let you get more distance on jumps, let your moves recover faster, and finish parkour sequences earlier. And all of these things aren't just there for the sake of it, they help you finish objectives that matter to the character you're playing. That's what this game is trying to be and trying to do. Will it succeed? Well, now let's explain the example from the beginning. A first-time player running through a few seconds of a mission compared to how a skiller or movement player might run through instead, and you tell me what you think. Wall run, normal pull-up, jump to bar, swing off, land with a timed roll instead of the normal held one, a little bit fancy, pull the elevator switch, and wait. Note that all of these are actions you manually input. The control scheme is accessible enough, but there's a lot of satisfaction in doing it all yourself to the rhythm of the terrain you're running through. That said, that's not exactly what I would call very fast, right? Jump out of the wall run early for a fast pull-up, which allows you to enter your vaulting animation. Tap turn during the vault, then jump with good timing, which lets you springboard upward. Hold flip in midair, which lets you get slightly more height at the beginning of jumps. Grab the roof above, then do the same with its peak. Vault turn, springboard, flip, and grab the ledge to the level's exit. That happened fast enough that I had to slow it down to describe it. And remember, these are all manual inputs that you have ownership over and decided to do, which made your clear time better. One more time at normal speed. While both of these runs may look effortless to a degree, you're fully responsible for all of the inputs required to make them happen in both cases. And the reason this all works, that you can have such distinct experiences and such different routing, is because of how Yokai Tales environments are built and the player's control scheme that's used to interact with them. To talk about that, I'm going to take you through the most recent demo I played, which should be really similar to the one you'll get to try on Steam. Note this is just a technical or mechanics demo, and these levels might not even be in the final game. They're just here for testing purposes, and so we can get a quick look at how the movement feels for now. So, in this game set in what the team calls a silkpunk world, we play as a kitsune, a godlike fox girl who aims to rescue various yokai from humans that use them as a power source. To prevent the game's action list from being overwhelming to new players, we start with simple moves like running, jumping, sliding, and wall kicks which extend jumps. As we save yokai along our journey, we unlock new abilities like vaulting, wall runs, and more. One goal the developers have is that you can use these unlocked moves to revisit previous areas and get to places you couldn't before, very much like a Metroidvania. But if you're clever with your existing ones, because of the freedom the game gives you, you might be able to access some of those places a little early. Even in the areas available in the demo, there are optional paths for curious players that contain an extra chest or a cool series of obstacles, and I'll let you discover those for yourself. Since moves can be applied across many contexts, each time you get a new one, it really increases everything you can do. They can often be combined in creative ways. These blue flower wall traps that send you back to your previously touched solid ground are also considered vaultable beams. Actually, something as simple as vaulting a basic object has multiple outcomes. You can vault things the usual way by holding flow, you can get forward boosts from a vault by pressing or holding jump, and you can even turn during the animation to change direction or get a big jump upwards. You may notice the combo log and style rating on the side of the screen. This is a feature Silk Road Studios are still working on, so this isn't in the game yet, but their idea is that it'll boost your combat and parkour, like improving your cooldowns and letting you defeat enemies faster. So in the end, you'll have tangible reasons to move and fight smoothly and stylishly. On the note of combat, the button you hold to dash and start sprinting or vaulting is the same button you press to dodge incoming attacks. Combat here is somewhat fast-paced, and you can lose pretty quickly if you let yourself get surrounded, but it does feature nice attack strings and the ability to launch many enemies for a juggle. I haven't asked exactly how this works, but from what I played, it looks like many foes eventually break out of your combo when their internal revenge value gets high enough, which reminds me a lot of some action games and particularly Kingdom Hearts. It's pretty easy to pick up with a bit of practice, and the game will feature multiple weapons. The first time we experience this is the cute overworld you can explore after finishing the tutorial. This little tanuki fella jumps out of a bush as we near it, and sells us some useful stuff for the gems we've been collecting. Dual daggers, a lightning spell, and a wind spell. In the demo I played, I got to try fists, naginata, and my favorite, dual daggers, which you better believe I'm very happy about. Each weapon type has its own identity with their own attack animation, speed, and reach, and most importantly, their own special attack. The one on fists lets you launch an enemy skyward on demand, while the one on daggers lets you blow up glyphs you can leave on the ground whenever you get a perfect dodge. You can equip a weapon, an outfit, and a spell in each of your two stances, and swap between them anytime. One good reason to swap stances during parkour or combat is that your spell's cooldown is specific to that spell, so if one of them is still not ready, you can swap to your other stance and use that spell while waiting for it. There may be some spells in the final game that can be used for both movement and combat, so I'm looking forward to finding out more. The Wind Blast in the demo can already be used to push yourself away when you use it, so the possibilities are there. Stealth is present as well. You can ground and air assassinate guards unaware of you when you see this claw mark indicator. The animations for these with different weapons are pretty cool, and surprising no one, the ones for dual daggers are my favorite. You might occasionally end up fighting bosses, and if you're good at staying aggressive and not letting them recover, there's an interesting twist on enemy posture or stance meters in this game. Here, posture damage you do eats into their health from the bottom, and if you can damage their health down to where their posture damage has reached without letting them recover, you get an instant takedown. A really cool touch that encourages you to press your advantage and keep actively interacting with the enemy. Soon we meet Oni, who is a scary looking dude with a goofy looking face. Seemingly a pretty nice guy, since he does teach us the wall run if we can finish his trial. This took me a few tries to get right, and if you slide through one of these tight passages, you should manually push your camera upward to be able to see when you exit from underneath. Of course, the way the camera and everything works is not final, so I assume this is subject to change and they'll figure out what they're happy with later. Wall runs have a small vertical gauge in this game. You essentially have wall run stamina that shows you how long a wall run can be. Out of a wall run, you can eject and jump away from the wall in every direction you can think of, including straight upwards, giving yourself a nice little boost if you're close to grabbing a ledge when you're about to run out. After this level is done, the demo is basically over, but we do also have an advanced movement tutorial we can choose to play before the end, which I really recommend you do. This part of the demo is raw geometry, baby. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous gray box. Can I still call it that when the sky is so nice? As a game design enthusiast, I love this, and if you're passionate about how games are made too, you're probably also smiling very hard right now. You can press this button at the start to convert this obstacle course into a proper speedrun trial that you have to clear without falling, which is very fun. Do it after you go through the tutorials here. So why are we actually here? We're here to learn how to use turns during vaults, and how to hold the flip button to extend our jumps to get through tight holes. No, you stop typing that comment right now. Anyway, these two are the exact mechanics used to do that cool elevator skip earlier. So you know how I said earlier that you have a lot of freedom because of how the world is built and the way your controls let you interact? Well, this test level is a great time to talk a little more about that, because these black walls you can't climb on at all, which means these are the exception, not the rule. Almost every wall or object in the game, unless specified by the level designers, can be interacted with, and you don't always have to interact with it in a predetermined way. Other than the example of the crazy elevator skip earlier, note that you can wall kick off this and flow through the next object here, but you can also wall run to climb on top of it and proceed that way if you prefer. Your moves are just your moves, and because you're free to do them on anything, you can come up with some creative ways to move through various spaces. Actually, maybe that's still not enough for you, so maybe this will convince you. You can do the same on enemies. That's right, you think enemies are just there to get in your way? This is a parkour game. These dumb guards have no idea they might be giving you exactly what you want. Just slide kick them for a launcher and vault boost right off the guy you just launched. This makes me happy because it tickles the part of my brain that makes good chemicals happen when enemies in games are also resources. So that about wraps up the demo, which means it's time to give you my remaining thoughts and close this out. This game has immense potential. I'm really eager to see how its development goes, and I want it to be the best game it can possibly be. Its developers want that too, but for that to happen they need all our help. Scroll down to check out the Steam page, wishlist the game and join their Discord server so you can have a chance to try this demo out right now and give your honest feedback. This is a work in progress, and it's still a ways out from release, so there's time to give your thoughts, your praises, questions, criticisms, and ideas. I love parkour games. You probably do too. And when this comes out, I want it to be awesome to play. The chance to help a new parkour game become one hell of a banger is, I think, a worthwhile reason to spend 30 minutes of your time, especially if you care about these kinds of games like me. Anyway, that's it for now. Check out the game, join the Discord, test the technical demo, take the survey on the main menu, and leave other thoughts in the devs Discord or below. The next time I see you all, it'll probably be for that one video. You know the one. May fog shroud you, may stars light your way, and may the night keep you safe.